Coming up on LiveWire in a few minutes, in fact, in about 30 seconds, you're going to meet somebody from Michael W. Benjamin from the Sacramento Urban Learning Academy. And he has a program that he's starting up that sounds amazing. And it sounds like a really important step forward in education. So stay tuned for LiveWire right after this. Hi, Michael. Are you there? I see you're coming on the air. Good. There you are.
Yeah.
Welcome. And thank you so much for coming on the program. It's really an amazing discussion that we had before the program, and I'm really kind of excited for us to touch on everything that we touched on there. The Sacramento Urban Learning Academy, you were walking down the street one day coming out of the City Management Academy, and you said, gee, I think I'll found an academy. Is that what happened?
Yeah, yeah, it's something like that. Basically, I had an initiative called Fades4Grades, and I felt like it needed an umbrella. And so Sacramento Urban Learning Academy was birthed out of a need to put Fades4Grades under an umbrella. Again, I think it was 2013. I was a graduate of the City Management Academy, and inside we were having discussions about how to better serve our community and better serve the youth. And the concept, like I said, I already had Fades4Grades, and the concept of Sacramento Urban Learning Academy was birthed. I wanted to provide education as well as arts, as well as economic empowerment. And that umbrella, I was able to put Fades4Grades under that umbrella.
Yes, when I first read it, Fades4Grades, I thought Fades4Grades, something fades. And then I figured, well, maybe it's a haircut. I think that there's a haircut called a fade. You know, it's kind of like rolling around trying to figure it out. But so what is it? You tell them.
Right. Well, you know, a fade is a haircut where your hair goes from dark to light. And we generally in African American community, we get that on the sides and the back of our haircuts, and it's you know, again, like I said, the hair fades from dark to light. So it's a most common haircut. Everyone's getting it now, so it's not just African Americans now. Everyone's getting a fade.
I know. And, online and
and barbers are usually great on how their ability to fade. If you can fade, you're going to be one of the top barbers in the city, no doubt.
So what do the barbers have to do with this? It's just an amazing thing you told me. Black barbers in the town, barber shops are quite different than standard, everybody quiet, hear the snipping kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. What is it?
So, you know, barbershops serve as our almost our black country clubs, if you will. They're information centers. They're places, safe spaces in our communities. And so our barbershops serve as the places where we can go and openly share. A lot of good times inside the barbershops. I haven't been in a black barbershop where they allow for any dissension. When you come in the barbershop, you know, it's a place where we're going to share openly. We're going to talk. You know, it's almost as if it's almost like a verbal newspaper, if you will. You know, you have the classifieds, which if you're looking for employment, there's going to be somebody in there who could possibly hear about a job opportunity. Sports, we'll talk about sports. We definitely talk about politics, religion, economics, whatever it is. And it's our safe space. It serves as our safe space, the barbershops.
So you decided that you came up with this fabulous idea about extending the power of that connection between black males in the black male barber shop, that and all it has been. And what did you come up with?
Okay, so basically what happened was, again, the history is that the barbershops have served the black community in many capacities for many years. And my ideal, I was thinking, how could we extend the reach? So initially, the initiative I have is called Fades4Grades. And my initial thought was to reward young men of color with haircuts for academic performance. So for example, a 4.0 to a 3.49 would get you 2 haircuts a month. 3.49 to 3.0, you get a haircut and an edge up. And then everything in between there, we'd work out. If you had a 2.0, but 99% attendance, that let me know that you were and you were just possibly struggling in some areas. It might have not even been you. It might have been the learning environment, and you qualified for the haircuts as well. And like I said, I ended up graduating from the Community Management Academy in Sacramento, and I met a woman named Lillian Glamblin, and she worked for a nonprofit called oh, I'm so sorry, called On Track. And On Track actually provides youth mental health first aid training, as well as youth as well as adult mental health first aid training. And so the idea started to mesh itself, and I was like, what if we could train barbers in youth mental health first aid, and that way the first point of contact for a lot of the youth in terms of if they're okay, because I told you earlier about the question. It's just, how are you? That's the question. That's the first question you get asked in the barbershop is, how are you? But if we could combine that how are you with actual context, how powerful would that be? So the idea was birthed to train barbers in youth mental health first aid. So when we do refer young men there, they're not only getting a haircut, but they're actually being checked on in a substantial way. The back half of the program provides actual professional mental health services as well. So the process works where a participant is referred to a barber who's trained in youth mental health first aid. The barber not only cuts the hair, but has conversations. Barbers are always having the conversation anyway. I just wanted to provide the context. If the barber recognizes that, hey, there might be a possible mental health situation coming up, the barber can then contact me or contact the mental health professional themselves. And that way we provide a clinical kind of solution to, what might be ailing them as well.
I think it's really an amazing and an important thing for young people. So barbershops have this, because of this special status, barbers are respected. And I know about respecting barbers, as a kid, but and then barbers in the past, they used to remove teeth if you were having a problem and you couldn't get to a real bona fide dentist. But this is an interesting discussion about how barbers who have respect in the community can provide young people with a strong support system for moving towards health, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so barbers, like I said, barbers have always been some of the top cultural brokers inside of our neighborhoods. Barbers, again, they provide a safe space. They're well known. They provide information centers and a lot of information that is helpful just in everyday life. And so they're coveted in our communities. And so, in looking at who should be empowered in our communities, we really, really, really have to concentrate on people like them. They already are doing the work. They already are having the conversations. They're the ones that are the most tapped into our community, and especially our young community, and our young men who are going in to get, you know, their haircut. We take a lot of pride in our hair. And so it's something that we often look to get done regularly. And so you could tell if a young black man is going through something, you could tell if his hair is unkept, right? There's generally usually a problem. And the question we need to ask again is, how are you?
Wow. And let me ask you this: as a child, did you have any experience with barbers? Were they good barbers? What happened?
I did. I had a really good experience. My father, Michael Benjamin Sr., he owned a theater, a small 60-seat theater on Stockton and Broadway, called Sacramento Repertory Theater. Yeah. And across the street from our theater was a barbershop, Brown's Barbershop. And the barber, the gentleman who owned the barber, his name Mr. Brown, and Brown's Barber. And he was my barber. He was my first barber. And you know, the information that I got inside of there as a kid, you know, 8, 9 years old, was invaluable. It was a place where my mom would take me and just drop me off, and she'd come get me, you know, when my haircut was done. And inside of that experience, I was privy to a lot of conversation, a lot of strategy, just a lot of life lessons, man lessons, if you will. And that was important for me as African American male, because a majority of the man lessons I got was from my father. So when I was able to go to the barbershop and get these similar or same lessons with different scenarios from African American men, it just further validated, you know, the concepts that my father was trying to teach me.
I like it. And also I like the concept that you told me earlier, that not only, you know, did you have Mr. Brown cut your hair, but now since he's retired, his children cut your children. I mean, kind of like a heritage aspect to the whole thing.
So Mr. Brown has 2 sons, Rodney and Marichelle Brown, and they not only serve as my barbers at times growing up, but they serve as my mentors. And so what happened is that the barbershops build a trust, and because I trusted Mr. Brown, and because they were a part of that experience for me as well, you know, our barbershop, and we talk, and this is all while we're growing up. When I became an adult, the natural progression was for me to go to them to get my haircut. That's just what it was. I knew I'd not only get an A1 haircut, but I also knew that the conversation would be one of substance and one where I would learn. And so to this day, both Marichelle and Rodney serve as my mentors. I can call them if you know, I got questions about things, and there's just this network. And a lot of times, you know, there's this real kind of stigma, if you will, in our community about reach out and about getting help, right? It kind of, for a lot of guys, it seems a little bit soft. And so you look for people who you can trust. You look for safe spaces, and that barbershop was that for me.
I think it's a fantastic idea. So what's the plan to implement? How do you do this now? How are you going to get Fades4Grades? I remember I went to Berkeley in the 60s, so there was no fades. It was afros.
Yeah. Well, at the current, under this hat, there is an afro. So just let me say that. Under this hat is the afro. I've since moved back from fades into afros, but you know, it still is, fades are still a big part of my growing up process. And so the implementation plan is to at current time, I'm writing grants to procure monies to provide trainings, more trainings, as well as be able to supplement some barbers. Barbers to this day, they still are, you know, independent contractors, if you will. And so they only make, you know, what they cut. And so I want to be able to have some monies to be able to provide, especially young barbers who are not only interested in being really good barbers, but interested in being really good community and social brokers, I want to be able to offer them some too. A lot of the barbers, especially the established barbers, they'll do it for in kind. They'll just say, hey man, love what you're doing. If I have time and things aren't scheduled, I'll cut for free. But a lot of the barbers, like a lot of us, they live in check to check or head to head, if you say, and so they need a little bit. And so the monies raised go to trainings and go to supplement the barbers.
This is great. I think I hope the city people are listening to this, because it's a step in the right direction. I think it's to really find where the community actually will come and be able to express, if their coughs or with their feelings, and the young men will learn what you did, which is not only take that information and use it as you grow up, but give it back.
Yeah. And that's what it's about. It's about the big give back. That's why my IG is Mike B Gives Back. I think that that's important. I think what happened in this country is we lost volunteerism to capitalism, and I'm hoping programs like this and other programs that are similar in nature will start to a resurgence of people just being human as well as civil to each other. I think we're seeing a shift from civil rights to human rights, and that's just the basic right of love, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And if that doesn't exist in the skeleton of whatever society it is, you're going to see an uprising. The people at some point in time are going to let you know that that's not okay. For you to receive civil rights, you have to first be considered an equal. You have to first be considered, worthy of that. And depending on who's judging that, you might not ever get civil rights. But one thing that you have to demand and command are human rights. And I think that's where we're at.
Good. And I think that the community has learned that lesson the hard way recently.
Mm-hmm.
And it can still go on if we don't really turn it around. So at any rate, you proposed a really good answer to a crying need. And I love the concept of using barbershops as an inroad to health and communication. Don't you?
Yes. Yeah. I again, it's about building trust, and, you'll take medical advice, you'll take educational advice, you'll take social advice from someone you trust. That's just the bottom line. And barbers, having the place that they have in the community, having this that they have in the community, people trust them. People trust them. I want to extend the reach to include, all kind of beautification professionals. So estheticians, nail techs, things like that. People who have a undivided attention with individuals, right? Because you generally have to sit down for 30, 45 minutes. They have your ear. And if I can provide through training, if I can provide context to the service, and they can then refer this individual to a professional who can further help them, and they get referred back for another beautification, I think that's a circle of care that would really work.
I think it's a noble step. And I love the concept of earlier talking about this being a kind of a national thing, because as you said earlier, the barbershops, us talking about the barbershop service in the Black community and what they do is a kind of a national pride, a national thing.
Yes, it is. And it's and so for all the barbers that are watching, or anyone in the community who's interested, we will be having trainings that'll be upcoming. So please, just if you can, and I'll post when those trainings are coming up. There's a group, the Agile group. Brother Michael Kraft is, we're in the process of training 8 individuals, including myself, who'll then be able to go out into the community and train the community in youth mental health first aid, so we can better identify and take a gauge and get a temperature of where our community is in terms of health. That's important. A sick community serves no one, right? A sick community serves no one. We're better off when everyone is educated, employed, and empowered. That's when you start to see a shift in a thought and a shift in community.
Good. And if people are listening and they are watching us and they want more information, you have Michael Instagram, Mike B Gives Back. And I think that's a way that they communicate with you, that I'd like to take part in this. I'd like to donate. How can I get more information? There's probably 1,000 questions somebody could support. Hi, I'm a barber. I want to become part of your expression of love in the community.
Yes, and if you go to the IG, there is information there. If you'd like to make a donation, there's information there. And then, like I said, coming soon, we will be having community trainings, and we're figuring out the logistics, whether it'll be face-to-face or a hybrid of a face-to-face and a Zoom maybe, or something like that. But I encourage, I'm really pushing for anyone who works with youth needs to have this training. It needs to be mandatory. Our law enforcement needs to have this training. Fire needs to have this training.
Yes.
How it's not mandatory is, I just completely don't understand. Definitely teachers, community service providers, everyone needs to have this training. It needs to be mandatory.
Yeah, I agree, especially because if we trust those people who are supporting, who are supposed to be our safeguards, and we want them to be up on what it is humanity is all about.
Yes,
yeah,
definitely.
So yes, okay. Wow. So at any rate, it's the Sacramento Urban Learning Academy, and the program is Fades4Grades, and it will begin soon as possible. And
right.
Go ahead. Whoa,
it's been piloted. So these are program objectives, and basically we won't go through all of these, but let's I have one that's bolded and underlined, and it just says our program will work out of local barbershops. It's in this setting that we feel we'll be able to reach our target groups. And so again, it goes back to that being the main objective is we need to meet them where they're at. This question is, why barbershops? So using barbershops allows the utilization of existing community spaces. As I mentioned, Barack Obama had an initiative called Promise Zones, and a big part of the initiative was to find safe spaces that already exist in the community that we can turn into health centers. So that's why barbershops. This is how it works. So barber referral, participant has a barber referral. They contact me or at Sacramento Urban Learning Academy, or actually the barber has a referral, and the barber will contact me about how the haircut went, excuse me, and then depending on what the answer is, I'll refer them to a health provider, and then they're referred right back to that barber for another haircut.
Great. Well, it's amazing, an amazing plan you have, and I hope that it gets fulfilled, because we need programs that reach into areas where we've never reached before, so that we can really communicate this concept that unless we work it together, we're not going to have that health and welfare for everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
most definitely.
I want to thank you for coming on the program, and I want to also say a shout out to your father, who I worked with for many years, off and on, in the Sacramento theater, and he is a hero in terms of that. When I drove up here in 1970, I'm I drove up and I drove past. I said, "A black theater company! I don't believe it!" And I pulled over, pounded out.
Right.
Somebody there. Oh,
Right.
but I went to the next show. Tiny theater, wonderful expression, and he and Dennis Wilkerson and a number of other people carried on that tradition and still carry it on after all these years. So thanks for the great pop.
Yes. No, my dad's an institution, man. Like walking in those shoes is tough sometimes because any and everybody who's come into contact with him has been changed for the better. And so, you know, I'm trying to leave a legacy as well. It's hard, you know, I have to, as soon as I say my name, they're like, wait a minute. You're not Michael. I'm like, yeah, I'm the second. They're like, oh, okay. So, yeah, thanks, Pops. Thanks, man.
And thank you, sir. Take care, Michael W. Benjamin.
Hey, thank you.
Bye now.
LiveWire.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. All right.
Bye. Logo. Oh, I guess we're still on the air.
Oh.
Maybe they went out for lunch. I don't know.
We both froze, though. Did you see that theater background? We both froze. Like, yeah, see? Yeah.